This is my frame jig.
Back purge with gas inside the frame, you reckon? there's some lingo.
There's always time to make a frame bag.
It's a test ride.
Everything's working.
It's looking good. Something a bit different for the channel now. I'm here with owner, creator, engineer of Sufur bikes, Rufus, checking out the process he's going through to build a new bike for his European racing campaign / family trip this year. So I thought we'd start by showing the progression of bike frames that he's made in the past, and then let you know the direction he's heading in from there. So Rufus,
Hey.
here we've got the bikes, all the Sufurs.
The fleet.
Is this every Sufur you've made?
No. I think in total I've made about 14 or 15 frames.
Wow.
This is just my personal fleet.
Yeah. So you've made them for customers before?
I've made them for customers. I made a ton for my daughter.
Yeah.
Some for friends. Just started making frames 9 years ago.
Wow.
And this was the very first frame I made. But this was where it sort of began for me with learning how to build a frame, and also it was just a bit of a test of some geometry I had in mind. And yeah, very quickly after this one, I realized what I liked and didn't like, and learnt a few different techniques and so on, and moved on to this blue bike, which was where things really progressed.
Getting a bit more gravelly.
I think I built this in maybe 2015. So at the time, it was before like gravel as you know it now really took off. If you wanted a gravel bike, you had to buy a cyclocross bike. It was the only thing that had even remotely close tire clearance and such. But I didn't like the geometry of a cyclocross bike, so I made this, which was, I mean, at the time I was still heavily into mountain biking. And so this brought a lot of geometry from mountain biking, but to a bike with drop bars. Obviously this isn't how it was built. This has sort of been relegated to the spin trainer. So I've just whacked on some basic flat bars and doesn't even have wheels anymore. But it did have some drop bars on it and a dropper post, and I think this is what we started doing the petite on.
Oh, nice.
Which has really began the saga of bike packing for me, really.
Yeah, and things just got even more bike packing from there.
Yeah, and so from there, it was quite heavy, and I think it was starting to crack somewhere after like quite a few years of, I mean, this thing got really abused. Like I was mechanicking for you, Joe, actually on the EWS, and I'd bring this along and like ride the course with you and so on, and I think there's some photos of me doing some jump, and it just got absolutely annihilated. And so time came where I needed a new bike, and it'd been enough years that I'd had some more ideas come along the way, and so this is where the yellow one comes in. Once again, this has been sort of delegated to just a road bike these days, so it's just got some slicks on it. But yeah, this one stepped it up in terms of weight. It was a heck of a lot lighter than this bike. I used some much nicer tubing and different profiles, and once again just tweaking that geometry a little bit more again to what I wanted, and once again trialing out a bunch of new ideas I'd had in those years. Yeah, it's sort of the natural progression, but also the discipline of biking has changed a lot as well, from like sort of full road fixie through to a bit of gravel to a bit more of an adventure bike with frame bags and bigger tire clearance. And then the natural progression from there is to this, the green one. It's probably worth noting, this is when I started branding it as well with the Sufur logo. It came up with a name which is just Rufus backwards. And so yeah, we'll go to the green one, which...
Wild.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that remains constant on this is it's got drop bars. Otherwise, yeah, jumped on bigger tyres, 29 by 2.2s on this. It can take up to 2.4s. Suspension fork on the front. Essentially I was just, the riding was getting a lot more aggressive, and this bike was not cut out for that. So we whacked some suspension on, bigger tyres, and this thing's been around the world with me actually. This is what we used for the Great British Divide last year.
Second place getter on the
Second
Sufur,
place getter.
on a handmade rig. Yeah, would have been first if it wasn't for me. And look at this thing, it's still going. Looks like the paint job's tearing away a bit, but
the paint job was a mess from day one on this. I used the wrong primer, so I think I've learned on that. It just chips away like nothing else.
And you've got bolt-on bags?
Yep, bolt-on bags for this one.
Wow. And this tube here is just
yeah, that's
to be different.
One piece all the way. It's just an idea I had. It's also got all the cabling inside it, both sides, trailer and brake.
So a bit of weight. I know this isn't the lightest gravel bike.
This was a pretty heavy bike. I actually made this during our first COVID lockdown, so I had a lot of time on my hands. I couldn't order any tubes or anything, so I just used what I had on hand, which was all pretty heavy straight gauge tubing. So the bike is heavy, but it is, in terms of the style and the geometry and the features that I wanted, it's everything I needed and could have hoped for. It was an awesome bike. And
cool.
Yeah, up until very recently it's been used a lot and been an awesome bike, and that is sort of what has led to the most recent Sufur. Very similar bike, but maximizing the frame space for a bag, which having done quite a few bike packing events and just general trips, that is, I think, a key feature. On this one I had some big bags bolted onto the forks. Obviously the main frame bag, top tube bag, a big saddle bag, and a food pouch up the front. And although it housed everything I needed, it was a nightmare when it came to like needing an item, and especially once you're like 5 or 6 days on the trot and your brain is just fried and you pack things in the wrong place and you can't remember what's where. And so I just wanted to consolidate it down to one big frame bag.
Nice.
Have it all in there.
And you're at the CAD part of the process now for your new Sufur.
Yeah,
and so you're going through all that and tweaking it, and
so yeah, at the moment I'm going through drawing it all up in CAD. Once again, just trying some new stuff for this next bike. A lot of 3D printed junctions, which we're starting to see in the bike industry a lot more, which can obviously get around some niggly features which are hard to fabricate with standard tubes. Keeping the weight down, just because this was such a heavy bike and it was a pain in the ass.
So it's a bit of a leap for you. Like, it's a big, like, these seem to be small progression. This is quite a big progression to the Monster Graph, but then
yeah, I mean the styles of bikes has jumped up quite a bit between each one, but the general, like, what I had to do to fabricate them and the skills I needed was a pretty slow progression between them. But yeah, this next one, jumping on the 3D printing and doing it all via 3D CAD is new for me. So,
and this is all race driven. So you did second in the Great British Divide last year. You're going over to Europe this year, and you thought, I need a real good tool for the job.
I need a better tool for the job, yeah. And then just I think we're all sort of realizing it's all coming down to the micro gains, things like aerodynamics, which most people would laugh at for bike packing, but I mean, it's not all about how fast you go. You can consider things like a headwind, all that kind of stuff. So if you can keep it all streamlined inside the triangle, maybe a small saddle bag, that's just free time. And who wouldn't want that?
For sure. Oh, that's exciting. Well, I've missed the CAD process, but we'll follow you through the machining and things that are going to happen in the next. Well, you haven't got long before you leave, so it's going to be quite a condensed build.
We'll see it all come together.
Yeah.
Hopefully in time. It's all slowly coming together. So yeah, this is my frame jig. Once I've designed the bike right over here, then I just take all these numbers and put it into the jig, and that just holds everything true and steady whilst I'm getting it assembled. So started with the chainstay assembly. I've got the dropouts and BB yoke, and then tubing in between. So I've just made all the joins all perfect. Well, they basically came printed perfect. Just touch them up with the file a little bit to get all the fits nice. And then yeah, got bits like the head tube junction coming together. Just working on the seat stays at the moment, which will go in here. So as you can see, the tube basically fits in pretty flush.
Wow.
And then you just do some tacks, take it out of the jig, weld it all up properly.
Cool. And you were mentioning to me earlier that your reach here is exceeding the limits of the jig.
Yeah. So it's a pretty special jig. It's an Anvil Fabrications jig, which they're not actually in business anymore. This is the Supermaster, which was even rarer. But as you can see, it was made in 2006. And we're at the limit of geometry numbers nowadays for what was considered big back then.
Yeah.
I think it's only a 505 reach. So like, big but not wild for today, and as you can see it's already off the end of the jig by about 15 mil, and the stack's only got a little bit left to go in it, so couldn't make a bike much bigger than this really.
Gotta keep those legs happy though. I've returned to the garage 2 days later. Rufus has made serious progress.
As you can see, all the tubes are just press fit. Everything
in.
just slots together, and then you can get it all lined up, and when it's finally ready I can just go through and tackle the joints, just so there's no distortion, and then pull it out, weld it all up, and it should be a pretty quick process hopefully.
It's just a 2-day job.
I mean, it's the whole thing's just a 2-day job. I spent this morning going through all the tubes and just pre-drilling all the bosses for water bottles and a bolt and frame bag.
So that's obviously you've got to put a thread and some sort of weld something on there.
Yeah, so I've got some
What's the tiny? Lightweight.
yeah, these little guys. So they're threaded on the inside, and they just go, and it should be a really tight fit, so I'll probably have to like
Press them in.
press them in,
And then job done.
and then just, yeah, weld around. I was going to braze them, but I don't actually have a brazing set up, and I've run out of time to learn that skill. So I'm just going to weld them in. I've done that quite a few times before. Brazing's just a lot easier and faster.
Yeah. And so the benefits, obviously the whole benefits of this is the massive front triangle, which is basically the more you can store in the front triangle when you're bike packing, the more aero setup is.
Absolutely, yeah. So the idea is the seat tube hugs the rear wheel, and it's even offset from the BB back a little bit, so it's giving as much room around here as possible. And then the seat tube is vertical, it's bang on 90 degrees because I know exactly where I want my seat to be. So it just means that, like, versus say a seat tube, probably if your seat's there, it's going to line up around there. You've got all this extra room back here, which you wouldn't have normally.
Wow.
And the added benefit also is that this curved seat tube kind of works a bit like a leaf spring. So if you press down on here, it's going to pivot, and that's going to squash a little bit. So you'll have a little bit of like, almost like suspension. It's probably only going to equal like a couple of millimeter, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like engineered flex if you...
Oh, nice. The Specialized brought out that gravel bike the other day that sort of looks like it's trying to go for a bit of that engineered flex.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, similar idea.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I should have really got this made a while ago.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to think I just copied Specialized.
Yeah. That's the last thing you want, eh? Oh, here we go. Look at this Lego.
That goes in there.
Oh,
and then,
wow. Look at that. Like an absolute club.
So your head tube's in 2 parts. Bottom half's 3D printed so that I could get a nice mate to the down tube. I've integrated the cable routing, integrated a boss as well, so one less thing I have to fabricate. And this is an IS 4252 headset standard. So the bearings go straight in, so I've also 3D printed the interface for the bearing to go bang on. It's just making everything a lot easier.
You didn't want to come up with some of your own standards just to add to it?
I think the bike industry has enough headset standards without me getting in the mix. And then I've got this one, yeah, bosses for a top tube bag and frame bag underneath. It just goes in there.
Well, it's sizable in the flesh, eh? It
Yeah.
looks like it's going to be a bike that's going to fit you.
It's I think because of the offset seat tube and everything, it looks bigger than it actually fits.
Yeah.
But it's got about I think it was a 505 or 510 reach.
Yeah, well, that's not crazy.
But yeah, as you can see, the scale of that front triangle is just utterly enormous.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
The state of it, eh? Like, you can just put a person next to it for scale, eh?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm 6'4".
Now we're potentially looking at the frame, the size, the grand scale of this frame bag.
Yeah, so this gives you an idea. That's the bottom of the frame bag. So that is just one bag, just enormous.
Yeah.
Got 2 drink bowls down here still.
And a scale that is 1/2 meter from here to here.
Yeah, 500 mil from there to there. So like, yeah, top of the frame bag is going to be just under 700 mils.
You've really given yourself some real estate there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
My whole idea was I'm still going to have a saddle bag with my sleep system, but I just want everything else in here.
Nice. We're back in the garage.
We're back.
Probably 2 days later, I'd say.
At least.
And how's the progress? We have got some tacking done.
Yeah. It's been, this is a bit of a milestone where you can actually take it out of the jig and get a rough idea of the weight and the scale of it. As you can see, it's an enormous front triangle. But yeah, just spent a few hours the other night prepping all the tubes, just cleaning them. You just got to be super clean to get a good weld, and especially all these 3D printed joins. They come off the factory all sandblasted, so you've got a bit of crap stuck in there. So I had to go around and file all the joins so it was just clean metal to weld to, and it's essentially at the moment it's just all tacked together. And then I can just check a few alignment things, and then when I'm happy with it, I'll just go around and weld it all up, finish it off. And then there's just a few final preps. Got to face and chase the bottom bracket threads, ream the seat tube, finish off the brake mount in the back, and just a final alignment check, and she's good to go.
So I did spot that there has been some welding. This used to be 2 pieces, and now it's been welded.
Yeah,
and sanded to an unrecognizable 1 piece.
Yeah, so that was the only junction I kind of wanted looking clean and didn't want to have a big visible weld in the middle of it. So I welded it up the other night and just basically just filed the weld smooth again, so it kind of looks like a 1 piece. And yeah, you can't tell.
That's lovely. It just looks big, like the reach isn't even that big. It just looks big because of what you've done with the rear triangle, isn't it?
Essentially, yeah. If you look at that and realise that's the size of a rear wheel, it just makes that look so big. But
well, yes, the front end's just so huge. But if I'd imagine a normal bike coming down here, it would make it look a lot smaller.
Like we were saying before, when you have that frame in your hands, it always looks small. So if this looks big, when it's built up, it's going to look enormous, I'm thinking.
Oh, it's impressive. So it's on the final stages, really. You just got to weld it.
Yeah. Well, I'm off in 5 days, so it needs to be finished pretty soon.
Oh, they're looking good.
Yeah, you got all the bottle bosses and the frame bag mounts all welded up.
Cool. And no dramas so far? Everything's coming together as planned?
Yeah, it's all come up really well. I mean, I guess that's the beauty of spending months in planning. Usually when I'm building bikes, it's a bit of a quick process and I'm figuring things on the fly, but I had so much time to think and prepare for this that it's really just come together beautifully.
Nice. And you did say to me you spent probably like 3 full days on CAD making sure it's perfect. God,
I'd say more than that. Probably a solid week, just designing, reiterating, changing, and just constantly checking, and just, like I say, just making sure everything was going to work seamlessly and be compatible and have the right clearances and all that kind of stuff.
Fantastic. Nice. Threaded BB, UDH. Sweet. And direct mount 160 or 180?
Yep, post mount 160 on the back.
Nice.
Keeping it lightweight.
Cool. Alright, we'll be back to watch some welding. Back purge with gas inside the frame, you reckon? there's some lingo. Just come back from a bit of a ride here, called in. We got Rufus on the weld here, back purging.
Mid-weld, yeah. So I'm just talking to Joe, like having a really good success with the normal sort of chromoly to chromoly.
Look at this.
Those welds are coming out beautifully.
BB.
But still having a bit of trouble welding the 3D printed parts to chromoly. It's sort of, I was just explaining, I think I need to back purge a bit more with argon to create a shield on the inside. Because obviously the thin wall tubing, I think, is just oxidizing, that's it. It's oxidizing on the inside because it's getting so hot. And obviously the 3D printed parts can take a lot more heat than the tubing can, so we're having to go high heat. But yeah, it just means that the thinner wall tubing's not coping well. Tricky stuff, learning a lot. But yeah, the stuff I'm used to, chromoly, all that sort of stuff, it's beautiful.
But it'll be alright though, you reckon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Righty, it's the day after I was filming Rufus welding. But what I can make out, he's had a very productive 24 hours and we've started to see this bike take shape now. So just cruising in to see the status update.
There was BB and all that stuff.
Nice, how'd it come up?
Beautifully.
So yeah. This is the finished welded frame.
This is it. I finally, like, I kept thinking I was done and then I see another section and I'm like, oh, shit.
Got to attach that.
Got to attach that. Something else to weld.
Yeah.
And I just kept going at it. So like all the extra little things, I had a couple of extra bottle bosses. Got the final frame tab put on.
Nice.
All the cable routing to get into here, and then I've done the little tube. So the brake cable just goes straight in there.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Yeah, nice and tidy.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, a few other extra little bits and pieces.
There's so much, just hidden little things, eh?
I know.
And then you've got to cut a slot here for your seat post, obviously, to tighten on.
Yeah, that's it. Yep, so I couldn't cut it before. So yeah, when you weld it all up, you run because the seat tubes are typically just fractionally undersized, and then you run a reamer through it, and that gets rid of any sort of distortion from the welding as well. And if you slot your seat tube before you ream it, then you just get a distortion at the top because it just splays out rather than holding strong where you're reaming it. So I've reamed that out this morning, and now I can cut the slot so that the seat post clamp can actually tighten up.
Exciting.
And yeah, we're very nearly there.
Wow. So Rufus has decided to do everything he possibly can from the ground up, even though he's flying out to Europe to be racing in, what, 3 days now?
Yeah, 3 days to go.
But we've got some bags coming along.
There's always time to make a frame bag. This is the template for the main frame bag. Nice girthy number.
Good size.
Got both sides cut out. Going to have access on one side. It's just going to be full length zip with zippers on both ends, so you can sort of open one end or the other.
Oh, nice.
And then on the other side, I'm just going to have like a zip about that long, which just opens into a pocket, and it'll just have my like passport, power bank, electrics, that kind of stuff.
Cables and that.
Cables, all that sort of stuff. So that's just on its own and out of FAF's way. And got a little bit of purple here. This is a top tube bag, which just a rough template, which then sort of gets folded up and all sewn up, and then got a few more panels to put on that. But
infrastructure, you were saying you got some plastic, or?
Yeah, I got some really thin. I think it's like 1 mil thin polyurethane, something like that. Anyway, but I'll cut out little blocks of that just to give it a bit of rigidity, because it's going to be quite a big bag, and I'm going to use it on the main frame bag as well, just sort of along some of the areas, just to, especially because it's a bolt-in bag, so it's going to support the bag a bit between the bolts, give it a bit more rigidity, so it's not just squirming all over the show.
Have you got the bolt threads and stuff all sorted? You just put a hole in it and then just screw it into the frame. Is it as simple as that? Pretty much, yeah. You got to put have a little bit of support around the bag where that hole is, just because the whole bag's going to be pulling on that hole. Yeah. But it's dispersed across four bolts across the top, and so that plastic sheet will also
help disperse that load, and I'll probably have a little washer as well.
Cool. So you got this monster frame bag, you've got the top tube bag, and then you've just got a saddle bag.
Little saddle bag, which is really just straps and a bit of plastic.
Just for sleep systems and things.
Just for sleep systems, yeah. It'll be.
Just whip it up on the Janome here.
On the Janome, yeah. I've got a bunch of supplies just to arrive for it all, so got like my waterproof zip.
Ooh, nice.
Pretty nice. Bit of stuff. Doing a bit of a black and purple theme on this number.
Sweet.
But yeah.
Nice job.
Coming together.
How's the time frame? Are you worried?
Always. But you know, it's not going to happen if it's not under pressure.
No. That's how you perform best. Oh, speak of the devil.
Caught me in the act.
What's going on? Look at this.
Look at this, I'm basically done.
It's bagged up.
Not far off a complete bike.
I've caught you at a good time here.
Yeah, I'm down to the painting now. So I've done a full coat of the purple, then like masked off all the logos and stuff, and done the black front end. Just peeling off all those decals now.
Not going to clear coat over, or is that too heavy?
No, well, yeah. So once all the decals are off, I'll take that off, and I'll just give the whole thing a nice clear coat, give it a bit of a glossy finish.
Yep.
And then I can get building, because you're
driving to the airport about 24 hours from now.
We've got about 24 hours to build this up, get it in a box, and finish off packing, or start packing, and finish a deck.
Classic Rufus scenario. Are you going to be able to ride around the block at least, hopefully?
Yeah, that'll be crucial, I think.
Well, hopefully I'm there for that.
Hopefully get a wee shakedown ride, just at least down the road and back.
Yeah. Well, the people want to see it built.
You got to see this thing built. It's the frame looks wild enough. It's not until you put pieces on it that it really comes alive.
Comes into its own.
That's crisp edge.
That's that Sufur logo.
There's the hand.
That's the hand.
Handmade by hand. Hand making everything. I got the front, the top tube bag done the other day.
Oh wow! Oh, and it matches.
Look at this guy. It's not quite the same purple, but it's purple.
Yeah.
And that's going to be really nice. Just need to put the holes in for the bolt on.
Wow! Show us that zip in action. How good's that waterproof zip? Is it tight?
I think the zip's jammed.
Oh, okay. I shouldn't have asked. I shouldn't have asked.
Someone's been fiddling with this.
Oh.
And they've done something to the zip, which is probably good that happened now. Not
a design flaw.
Imagine if this thing's full of treats. You're on a bloody mountain somewhere and you need to get to those treats and the zip jams. So I don't know what's going on, but yeah.
Frame
you get an idea of it.
I'll edit that out.
It's all. It's got the plastic inside there, so it's all that panel, and that one's all got stuff, so it's like rock solid.
Lightweight?
Pretty good.
Lightweight, people.
Yeah. It was a technical thing to sew. There was just layers of fabric. I've never used this. I think it's X-Pack fabric. Not very flexible.
But waterproof as hell by the looks.
Waterproof, lightweight. It was nice to sew, but just very fiddly and...
No cable port through the front?
No, I'm going to have all my cables in the main bag. I'm deciding. I'm going to have a zip along here with a little pocket.
Nice.
With all that stuff.
Yeah. Prototype.
Yeah.
Not production yet.
And production quality yet.
Oh, yep. Gloss clear coat is done.
Prototype.
Looking good. Build tomorrow.
Ready.
Rufus is flying out this afternoon and he's making a fence. G'day.
G'day.
How's the schedule coming along?
Oh, as you can see, I'm still in the same clothes as yesterday.
Just an all-nighter?
Just an all-nighter.
Oh man.
I think I got about 3 hours sleep.
Far out. I'm due to be dropping Rufus off at the airport with his bike built, finished. in 2 hours time. So I just completed a couple of thousand meters climbing, bit of a training ride. About to drop down into the city and see how he's going. No doubt it'll be down to the wire. Oh. He's doing it.
He's done it.
He's done it.
It's together.
Wow.
How's the sight coming up the road? Yeah.
Are you stoked, man?
I'm stoked. I'm a little bit like, I'm stoked on the bike, but I'm just caught up in the fact that we're traveling today. And I'm just really annoyed that like, I just had to rush this. I haven't had the time to like sort out the wiring or the aero bars, or all I've done is put it together, bleed the brakes, tune the gears, cut the chain, all that kind of stuff.
Righty. Does it fit?
Does it fit? Spent all night on this.
Oh, glove like.
Don't even need to bolt it in. Look at that.
Wow.
Holy crap, that's the best bag I've ever made. Still there?
Oh, really?
Sort of like ties it in a bit more. Where is, I've got a touchy bag somewhere.
Paint to here. Yeah. Gotta get some riding footage. Here he goes. Here's the test ride.
That's right. Everything's working.
It's looking good. Woo!
Comfortable thing.
Oh man, built for you. Alrighty, that's it people. If you want to follow Rufus's racing campaign over in Europe, Rufus_here on Instagram. Rufus here. And see how he goes on the rig. You got a name for it? Sufur, any model name? No.
Nothing. It's super prototype right now.
Super prototype. Yeah. Nice. Well, good work.
Cheers. Oh.
Well done.
Cheers, man. Got there. Not a minute to spare.